Hi, my name is Aya, you're watching Aya Reads, and I'm here to do a massive book haul. So I have over 30 books to show you. And to be honest, I'm kind of disappointed in myself because I shouldn't have bought all of these, but what can I say? I know Amazon had a sale going on, so I snagged a bunch of books on that sale. I don't know, I just couldn't control myself, and I am happy that I have these now because some of them are so beautiful. The first 4 books I actually saw in a bookstore so the bookstore is usually in train stations, so sometimes when I have to wait around, I usually go into that, and that is usually not good for my wallet. So it's actually the Dirty Air series by Lauren Asher, and the reason I bought them is because of these sprayed edges. They are so gorgeous. I fell in love with them, so I bought them. So Lauren Asher, I've only read one book by her, but I've heard so many good things about her books through the years, and especially this one. This is a Formula One series where you follow a different couple with each book, and I've never read a Formula One book, so these ones will probably be my first. So the first one is Throttled. The second book is Collided. The third one is Wrecked. And the fourth one is Redeemed. Then I pre-ordered the sequel to Empire of the Vampire, and I got Empire of the Damned. So this is the Waterstones edition, and I just snagged it. I only read the first half of Empire of the Vampire, and then I got into a major reading slump, so I never finished that book, but I just want this series to match, so I bought the sequel. I am planning on reading the series in the future, but for now, I haven't yet. I really love the illustrations in here. They are so beautiful. I don't know who illustrates these. Bon Orthwick. Yeah, it is. They are beautiful. So I cannot tell you a whole lot about this, but the first book, you follow this vampire hunter who I believe becomes a vampire himself, but he still hunts them down, and now he's sentenced to death, and now a chronicler is wanting him to tell his story, so he does. And I did enjoy the first half, so I am excited to continue on with this series. Next, I couldn't help myself. I bought a special edition of one of my favorite books, and even though this was shipped from the US, I still bought it because I just wanted it. Usually I tend to stay away from US books or like US special editions simply because the shipping is usually very expensive and I usually have to pay taxes afterwards, so it just becomes way too much. But for this one, I was willing to splurge, and it's Sea of Ruin by Pam Godwin. So I actually flipped this cover because I really wanted Ashley Bennett and Priest on the front. So this is the back. So this is actually the cover most people will have it for, but I just flipped it. This is such a stunning, stunning edition. And these are the end pages. And I also bought some like dirty or smutty page overlays, so I cannot show them because they're very explicit, but I really love, like I said, this is one of my favorite books of all time, so I just want to splurge. Even though I do think the original cover is beautiful, I really wanted this one simply because I just wanted Ashley. I love him so much, so I love the fact that he's on this cover too. Then I got Heart Song by TJ Klune. So this is the third book in the Green Creek series, and I'm slowly making my way through this series. Wolf Song is one of my favorite books of all time. I read Raven Song last year, and this one was published again traditionally in February. So I'm gonna read this soon. And then the fourth one, I believe, will come out again in August. The reason I'm waiting for these is because I do enjoy these traditional covers, and the ebooks are very expensive, which maybe I'll splurge for the fourth one, but for now I just waited long enough for the traditional published books to come out. I don't know why they are so expensive, but they are, so it's fine. This is, I believe, Kelly and Robbie's book. So Kelly is Joe from the first book, his brother, and Robbie, he became part of the pack in the first book as well. So I cannot wait to read that book. The one I'm most looking forward to is Carter's book. the fourth one, so I cannot wait. But obviously I really want to read this one before getting to the fourth one. Then I just recently got Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. So as you can see, I'm currently reading it. I'm on chapter 6. This is Abby Jimenez's newest release. It came out on April 2nd. As I'm filming this, it is April 7th actually, but I just started it. This follows a guy who on Reddit, he talks about his story where every time he dates a woman, once she breaks up with him, she finds the love of her life, her soulmate, in the next guy she dates. The heroine reads that and actually responds to him and tells him that she has the same curse. Every time she dates somebody, like the next person they meet is their soulmate. So they decide they should date each other for a month and then break up so that their curses will cancel each other out and maybe they'll find their soulmates finally. Obviously that's not gonna work out and they're gonna fall in love. So far it has Abby's compulsively breathable writing style. Like I fly through her books. I inhale her books usually. And this one, I also want to do nothing but read her books. So far I haven't given her 5 stars yet. I've only given her 4 stars. Hopefully this one will change that. I really love the cover and I really love this cute dog in here. He's already mentioned, so this is not it's not dog catfish. He definitely plays a part in this book and I cannot wait to continue on with this book. I will read this once I'm done filming and editing for the day. Then I got the Bloom editions of Binding and Keeping 13, and these are wonderfully floppy. Like this is just like, these are the floppiest books ever. So usually the books that I can get are the UK editions, usually Piatka's, I'm pretty sure, but I hate the edition specifically for Binding and Keeping 13. I think they are just not that pretty. I do love their editions of Saving and Redeeming 6, but for some reason, I don't know, I don't like the heart. I think it's ugly. I don't like it. But I did really love Binding 13, and since I was debating buying the indie published ones, but since I'd never read them, I didn't want to splurge on that and then maybe find myself not loving this. But one of the indie covers did really look like this, so I bought these and I think they're beautiful. I'm currently reading Keeping 13. I'm not loving it as much as I did Binding 13, but hopefully the last 200 pages or so will make me love it a little bit more. But these books, you follow Shannon and Johnny. So this is a duology. This is a series of duologies, I'm pretty sure. So in the first duology, you follow one couple. The second duology, you follow another couple. So in this book, you follow Johnny and Shannon has this really rough home life. Her dad is abusive and an alcoholic, and they're very poor. And Johnny is very rich and very privileged, and he's on his way to becoming a rugby superstar. One day they meet when he, in a hissy fit, kicks the rugby ball and it hits her and she almost becomes concussed. So that's how they meet. And Johnny really wants to know about this beautiful girl with this seemingly sad home life. And slowly they fall in love and it's very beautiful. But I do have to say, one thing that annoys me about this series is both of these combined have 1,200 pages. This is, I mean, I know Shannon has a lot going on, but 1,200 pages of a contemporary romance is just way too much. Plus, and I find, especially in Keeping 13, the things I don't like are specifically because they're still in high school. So that is also something that is kind of annoying. But overall, I did really love it. I gave Binding 13 4.5 stars. Keeping 13, I'm sure will get 4 stars. I really loved it. I do have to say, usually I like for my heroes to be a little bit tortured as opposed to the heroine. So I do have a feeling that Saving 6 and Redeeming 6 will be my favorites in the series. So I cannot wait to read those. And I'm gonna buy them in this edition for sure. And if I really love them as much as I think I will, maybe I'll buy the UK editions for those as well, because like I said, I do enjoy those editions. Then I got The Warm Hands of Ghosts by Catherine Arden, and I got the beautiful Waterstones edition. Look at that, how beautiful. So this is her newest release, and I read The Bear and the Nightingale, and I didn't love it as much as other people did. I have not continued on with that series yet, but this one I was so intrigued by because it takes place during World War I, and you follow this girl whose brother goes missing, and I'm pretty sure he falls in love with a German soldier. I don't know why I do, but I tend to really enjoy those stories. And I'm sure there's like this magic thing going on with music. I don't know, but this was one of my most anticipated releases, and I really enjoy this beautiful UK edition. So I cannot wait to read this. This is not that long, so hopefully I love it. Because I do have to say, in The Bear and the Nightingale, her writing style was very difficult to get through because it was so dense. Hopefully this book is going to be a little bit less dense. And I do have to say, this does have very short chapters, which is always a plus for me. I tend to fly through books that have short chapters. Then I got The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi by Shannon Chakraborty. So I heard so many good things about this book. I read, once again, this is similar to The Bear and the Nightingale. I read City of Brass, and I was not really loving it that much, although I do have the entire series, so hopefully one day I'll reread the first one and continue on with that series. But this one I heard so many good things about. It follows this woman who is a pirate, but she stepped out of that life, and now one of her old crewmates asks her for a job, and she reluctantly agrees. I love these kinds of stories where you get the old band back together. I love pirate stories usually because obviously Sea of Ruin is one of my favorite books. And this cover is just beautiful. So I cannot wait to read this one. Then I got A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. So this was a pre-order for me. I really enjoy her Bridge Kingdom series, and this is her newest fantasy romance. I'm really intrigued by this one. This one I'm planning on reading in April, so hopefully I'll love it. This is a Norse-inspired fantasy romance. And like I said, the only reason I bought this is because it's Danielle L. Jensen, because I really love her other fantasy romance. So I don't know a whole lot about this, and that is fine because I kind of want to go into this blind. I do have the metallic sprayed edges, so that is, I believe if you pre-ordered it, or if like the first printing of it has these sprayed edges, which are beautiful. Then I got Sunbringer by Hannah Kaner. I bought this specifically because of these beautiful sprayed edges, and this is the sequel to God Killer, which I've not read yet, but I just wanted this beautiful hardback because look at these end pages. Like, this is very well made in my opinion, and God Killer was just as beautiful. Like I said, I've not read God Killer yet, but I really wanted these editions to match, so that's why I bought it. God Killer is about this world where gods are bad. So there are people that are god killers, and our main character is one of them. And then she finds this little girl who's been possessed by a god. So she has to figure out how to save her. But then while they're journeying, she bonds with this god, I'm pretty sure. It sounds really good. I've been hearing great things about this series. But I do believe the first one was pitched as a standalone. So obviously that's not the case, but I don't care. I am very interested in this series. Then, so I really want to read Tress of the Emerald Sea, but the only edition that I really love are the ones that he published himself. So one day I was looking on his website and I was like, can I buy them maybe from him? And then I realized that I could. Once again, I had to order them from the US, obviously, because he lives in the US. So I couldn't order all of the secret projects that he did, but I did order the two that had the best reviews. So I got Tress of the Emerald Sea and Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. I do have to say, I already own Yumi and the Nightmare Painter in another edition, also the Waterstones exclusive one, and I have not read this yet. So hopefully I really love it. Otherwise, I just have two beautiful... Well, I mean, it's not the end of the world. Look at this. Oh my God, please stop. It's not the end of the world because I'm pretty sure I could sell them both and get a decent price for it. But yeah, this I believe is like a anime-inspired book. And this, like I said, has been getting so many good reviews, Tress of the Emerald Sea. And like I said, I really love this edition. It is so beautiful. I think it's so much better than the other editions we got. So this is The Princess Bride Flipped. You follow Tress, who's in love with this boy, but then one day he leaves or gets kidnapped, or they don't know where he is, so she goes out on this quest to find him. And I've been hearing so many good things about this book, so I'm glad I finally have this beautiful edition in my possession. And like I said, if you really wanted this edition and you didn't pre-order it, you still can get it on his website. Then I got Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie, I don't know how to pronounce that last name. This one I saw in Waterstones, and once again, a beautiful sprayed edge. I really love this edition. Like, I enjoyed the first, like the original edition of this book, but I don't know why. I just love this. I love the, like all the chemistry elements in here and the sprayed edges. It has a bookmark in here as well. I just wanted to read this, and so I bought it. I've been hearing so many good things about it. I believe it has been, there is a TV show or a movie about it now. So this is about this woman who's a scientist, but then she has to take a job as a host of this TV cooking show. And so she does, but while doing that, she teaches women about like what these dishes are made of, like to their molecular level. It sounds really good, and I've been hearing so many good things about it, so hopefully I'll love it too. I got Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. So this one, I was afraid that they were not going to publish this beautiful edition anymore because this is a hardback without its dust jacket, and I really love this. It's also a little bit smaller than your regular hardbacks. This follows Emily Wilde, who wants to make this that is such a hard word for me to say, Encyclopedia of Fairies. And while doing that, she comes across this man who seems to thwart her, and he may or may not be a fairy. I've been hearing so many good things about this, and that's why I bought it physically, because I do also own it on ebook, so hopefully I'll love it. Because if not, then I bought this book when I didn't have to. I also got Swift and Saddled by Lila Sage. So this one was pretty cheap if I pre-ordered it, so I just did. I really love this cover, this retro cover. I haven't read Done and Dusted yet, but these books you can read without having read the other ones. Plus, I think I'll love Done and Dusted anyway, so I figured let's buy this one. So this is a recently divorced woman who meets this handsome cowboy at this bar, and they share this searing kiss, but she actually is in town for this interior design job. And little does she know that the guy that she kissed at this bar is the guy that she works for to do this interior design job. It sounds cute, and like I said, the cover is mainly what drew me to it, but also I've heard amazing things about Done and Dusted. I told you guys Amazon was having a sale, like 30% off almost all English books, so I immediately snagged Dark Note. So this book I've been meaning to buy for a while. You guys know I really love Sea of Ruin, like I said. So this book I heard amazing things about as well for such a long time, so I figured let's just buy it because I do enjoy this cover too. So you follow this girl who has this horrible home life, and everybody just sucks in her life. She constantly gets used by boys, and then one day her piano teacher notices, and he's into BDSM, and he decides that he's gonna give her a more powerful word than no, which is a safe word, and they start this BDSM relationship. This is taboo, obviously, because I believe she's still 17. And he's her teacher, so that is a no-no in real life, but I can read it in fiction and still enjoy it. So I know Jen really loved this book, and since Sea of Ruin is also one of her favorite books, I figured I'm probably gonna love this too. Then I got the first 3 books in the Legacy of the Gods series by Rena Kent. So I bought these because she's been picked up by a traditional publisher, which is great for her, which is amazing since these books are very, very, very dark. Hopefully they'll not change anything about what's inside. I don't think they will, because otherwise why pick it up as a traditional, like why pick those books up then? And I only read God of Malice, and I've been meaning to buy this book because this guy is so hot. But I really love this book, so I wanted it physically anyway. And since when I heard that she was gonna be traditionally published and that these covers were gonna be removed, I figured I just wanted these covers too. Maybe if I really love the traditional ones and I really fall in love with the series, I'll buy the other ones. But so this is the only one I've read so far, but since the 6th book comes out in June, I have to read these as soon as possible. In fact, God of Pain is on my April TBR, and God of Wrath and God of War, anyway, the 4th one is on my May TBR, and then in June I want to read God of Fury and the last one. Basically, these all follow psychopaths finding love. This is a next gen series, so you have seen all of these characters or their parents in her previous series, which I've not read those yet. So I started with actually the next gen, but like I said, I really loved God of Malice so much. So I cannot wait to read the rest of these books. And I really love these spines, and I think they're gonna be so beautiful and colorful on my shelves once I own all of them. I'm planning on buying the 4th and the 5th one soon. So yeah, very excited about these. Then I got The Last Tale of the Flower Bride by Roshani Chachki. So this I actually already own on ebook too, just like with Emily Wilds. But I've been hearing so many good things about it. This sounds so beautiful. It sounds like a beautiful fairy tale, dark fairy tale. And what really intrigued me about this book was like the prologue, which is only a paragraph, which I'll read it to you. You warned me that knowing your secret would destroy us. At first, it sat in our marriage like a blue-lipped ghost, hardly noticeable until a trick of the light drew it into focus. But you could always tell the days when it gnawed at my thoughts. You tried to comfort me. You stroked my face and curled my fingers to your heart. You said, if you pry, you'll destroy our marriage. But oh, my love, you lied. Stop! I love that. This, I believe, is a gender-flipped Bluebeard retelling. You follow this guy whose name is only the bridegroom, and he falls in love with this beautiful, majestic woman. And then he finds out that there are some secrets in her past that are very dangerous. And say less, I need to read this very soon because I'm just so intrigued. So intrigued with this book. I got the special edition of Circe, so I have this edition. I have the same one for the Song of Achilles, and that book was just not my favorite, but I do love the edition, and I did want this one to match. So hopefully I love this one. I do know that a lot of people who did not really enjoy A Song of Achilles do really love Circe, so hopefully I'll be one of those, because this is such a beautiful edition, and I do really love the edition of The Song of Achilles. So I'm glad they made a new, although I do have to say, the original cover I did enjoy as well. So, but I wanted them to match, so that's why I got this one. Then I got Transcendence by Shay Savage. So this is a a pretty old book. I believe it was published 10 years ago in 2014, yes. And I've been hearing so many good things about it. I actually already own it on ebook, but then one day I saw it on Amazon only for like €6 or something, so I snagged it. This follows a woman who gets transported back in time to like caveman era, and there she falls in love with this man who's not even like a Homo sapien. So he's a caveman, he doesn't know how to communicate, but this is sold through his point of view. So sometimes she says things or does things where we know as the reader what's going on, but he doesn't know. So this sounds so good. Like I said, I've been hearing so many good things about this book for so long, so I need to finally read this. Then I want to talk about some other new releases. The first one is This Could Be Us by Kennedy Ryan. This one I read and it was not my favorite. I gave it 3.5 stars, but you follow Soledad, whose husband cheated on her and also embezzled money, and the guy who found out about his embezzlement is Judah. So her husband is in jail, and now she needs to find a way to provide for her family because she's always been a stay-at-home mom. So she becomes an influencer. And while doing that, she learns more about Judah and falls in love with him, but she's on this self-love journey where she cannot be reliant on a man anymore. And that is one of the reasons why I did not really love this book. This was not really a romance. It was mainly focused on Soledad's journey, which is fine, but that is just not really my type of genre. But Kennedy Ryan is a beautiful author. She has some beautiful quotes in here. And when they did finally have some romantic things going on, that was done beautifully in my opinion. So I cannot wait to read more Kennedy Ryan. This just was not really my favorite, unfortunately. Then I got The Witch Queen of Halloween by Kresley Cole. This is the latest installment in her Immortals After Dark series, and this is a novella. And usually you cannot read these books without having read the other ones, but this is the exception in my opinion. You can read this without having read the others. You just have to skip the prologue and like the last chapter. But other than that, you can read this and you'll be fine. This follows Rook and Poppy, and they were almost a thing 2 years ago. They went on this date, but he's a shadow demon because of that. Or a smoke demon, I'm sorry, he's a smoke demon. And smoke demons, every time he has sex with a woman, she then has the ability to summon him. And the only way for her not to do that is if he forsakes her publicly. And since he doesn't want to do that to these women, he just keeps getting summoned by these women to have sex with him. And that also happens on their date. So ever since then, Poppy just stays away from him and she doesn't want anything to do with him. But they're fated mates, so he cannot stay away, and they find a way to make this work while being in this haunted mansion, and all these horror movie characters keep haunting them. So this was fun. It was also not my favorite in the series, but I love Crusty Cole and I love the Immortals After Dark series. And like I said, you can read this without having read the other ones. You don't necessarily have to wait for Halloween to read it, but obviously it is more fun to do so. Then I got If You Hate Me by Helena Hunting. So this one I read on ebook first and I loved it so much that I bought it physically. This is the first book in her new hockey series, and you don't have to read any other hockey series that she did to read this one. This is a brand new series. You follow Tristan and Beatrix. She goes by Rix or B. On the day she leaves her job, she also leaves her apartment because she lives with these roommates that are just horrible. So she asks her brother if she can stay at his place, and he agrees, and her brother lives with his best friend. And she hates him because when they were younger, he used to call her Beat, as in beat it, because he didn't want her to be around them. And now, once they're older, the hate is still there. And he hates her because he's also very attracted to her. But his mom left him when he was 12. And because of that, he had to take care of his siblings a lot. And he doesn't want anybody else to take care of. So that's why he keeps her at arm's distance. But they're both very attracted to each other, and they both hate each other. So that just combusts and they start this enemies with benefits relationship. I always love it in books when they have sex while still hating each other. I think that, I don't know why, I just love reading that, and I think she did that wonderfully in this book. I don't think this book is for everybody because Tristan is a very difficult character to love because he constantly keeps pushing her away and he's very repressed emotionally. But I tend to like those heroes, and it made sense for his character since his mom left him at such an early age. It is understandable why he would think that everybody would leave him because the person who was supposed to love him unconditionally left him. So yeah, I really love this and I cannot wait to read the sequel. I believe it comes out in July and I cannot wait. Then I bought Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I bought this right around the time it came out, except I was in a reading slump then, so I read it in March. I read this in a vlog where I actually also read If You Hate Me and This Could Be Us. So if you want to know more of my in-depth thoughts on these books, definitely check that video out. This is Ali's first paranormal romance, and it involves a vampire and, wait for it, a werewolf, which that is, like I keep saying, that is my favorite paranormal creature. So obviously I was bound to love this, and I did. I fell in love with this book. It was so good. You follow Misery, who's the vampire, and Lo, who's the werewolf. And Misery, they have to get married for this alliance between the vampires and werewolves. And she does because she thinks her best friend is missing and she thinks the werewolves, but especially Lo, had something to do with that. So they get married, and obviously this involves fated mates, and this was so good. There's this scene where he has to mark her that I cannot stop thinking about. It is so good. So honestly, if you've not read this book, I would highly recommend it. And if you have not read a lot of paranormal romances, I would say definitely read this one because I think this is a good entry point to paranormal romances. This is so good. I got Lore of the Wilds by Annalie Sabrana. This one I'm also planning on reading in April, and I just fell in love with this cover. I think it's so beautiful. So this, you follow a human girl who makes a deal with a Fey Lord. Listen, I don't know what this is about. I just know that it's a fantasy romance and it has a beautiful cover and it involves Fey, and that is all I need to know. And I guess you'll hear more of my in-depth thoughts once I finish it in April. I will be vlogging it. The plan is to do a fantasy romance vlog. I'm planning on reading this book and A Fate Inked in Blood and another fantasy romance. Definitely let me know in the comments below which fantasy romance I should read. Preferably a fantasy romance that has been published in 2024. I want to do like a new release fantasy romance vlog. So 2 I already decided on. I just need a 3rd one. But yeah, I cannot wait to read this one. Then I got King of Greed by Anna Huang. So this is the 3rd book in her Kings of Sin series, and I really want to read this one before King of Sloth comes out. So that's why I bought it. This is a marriage in trouble romance. You follow Dominic and Alessandra, and they were so very much in love, but when they got together, they were both pretty poor, and Dominic vowed that he was going to give her everything in life, so he is very ambitious, so he made this empire, and now they have more money than they know what to do with. But Alessandra is very unhappy because since he's building this empire, he has not been paying attention to her, and the final nail in their coffin is when he forgets their 10-year anniversary. So she leaves him, and now he has to do everything in his power to get her back. And maybe all the riches are not enough if he does not have his Alessandra. This sounds so good. I heard so many good things about it. I've only read the 2nd book in this series, King of Pride, and it was not my favorite because it was very billionaire-y with not a lot of other plot going on. So hopefully this one, even though this is a billionaire romance, since I do love the marriage in crisis storyline, I'm still gonna love this book even though it involves a billionaire. Then I got The Graham Effect by Elle Kennedy. This is her first book in her Next Gen series, and I'm planning on reading this book this year. I just need to finish the Off-Campus series, and I think maybe even The Briar U before I want to read this one. But the sequel to this is going to come out soon, and I just really want to read it. I've been hearing so many good things about it. You follow Garrett and Hannah's daughter, which I love because I love that couple. They're technically first on rivaling teams, so she's from Briar U and he's from another team, but the hockey teams get, like, the schools get merged together and the hockey teams get merged together. Now they have two captains. One is Ryder and one is Gigi's ex. And Ryder wants to get an in with her father, so he wants her to introduce him to Garrett Graham in exchange for him giving her lessons because she's also a hockey player. This sounds so good. I've been hearing so many good things about it, and I really do love Elle Kennedy. So definitely gonna read this soon, hopefully. And last but most certainly not least is Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. This is a sequel to Divine Rivals, and I really loved Divine Rivals when I read it earlier this year. In fact, in April, I'm gonna try to finish off as many series as I can, and this one is very high up on that list because it's only a duology, so once I read this, I'll finish it. Divine Rivals is a mix between a historical fiction, a romance, and a fantasy. And you follow this girl who's a reporter and her brother has gone off to war. And in this world, it feels like World War I or World War II, except it's gods fighting each other and they're using humans to fight their wars. And her brother has gone off to war and she tries to write him, but he doesn't respond. And then one day she decides to write him on this typewriter and put it in her closet, and somebody responds, but it's not her brother. It's actually Roman, her rival in this like newspaper they're working for, and it's their romance, and it's so beautiful. I really love the first book, so cannot wait to finish this series. I think I'm gonna love this a lot. So yes, those were all the books that I bought recently. I do have to say, in April I'm gonna go to London where I'm gonna visit a lot of bookstores, so I think I'm gonna buy a couple books there as well, but I cannot wait to do that. I love buying books, obviously. Definitely let me know in the comments below if you've read any of these books and what your thoughts were, like which should I prioritize? And I would really love to know what are some of the books you got that you're very much excited to read. And I really hope you enjoyed this video. Definitely let me know by leaving a like if you did. And thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day and I'll talk to you later. Bye.